All right. Hi, good evening, Mariana. Good evening, Whitney. Thanks for being here. We're going to start with the class. First, I'm going to try to see. I'm going to ask you if you had some problems, right, with the essay. Remember that you all have until today at 11:59 p.m. to upload your essays, to upload the vocabulary. Perhaps some of you already did it, but we're going to see, all right, if you had some problems, we're going to try to solve them today. Remember that everything has to be uploaded here. The vocabulary, the link of the classwork that we were working on, and any other thing that we were able to do. But in this case, we don't have any extra things. So only two things, right? The vocabulary and the link of classwork. If I go here, I see that three as people, all right, were able to work with this. It should be more, but I'm going to see who are these three. All right. So I see that Lourdes, Mariana, right? I have received your work. At least some of them is being here and I'm able to see it. The ones that are missing here are Luciana. Remember that you still have, after this class, to upload everything here, all right? I'm going to try to see what you did. I'm just going to get in and tell you if something is missing, and I'm going to guide you a little bit. So when you upload your work, this is what I see, right? I'm going to be able to see in this part. I'm going to minimize this. All right, there you go. In this part, I'm going to see the files that you uploaded. If it's only the vocabulary file, it's going to be there. If you're not able to add the link, we're going to try to do two things. One possible thing is what Lourdes did, right? Lourdes, if I'm not sure, but I think that Lourdes was able to share the link with me via comment, all right? It was like a comment that was part of this document. This is a little bit slow now, but it was a comment, all right? So try to find the way. If you believe that you can, instead of writing the link as a comment, you can create another file and copy and paste the link of the classwork over there, try to do it as well, please. That's also going to work. So this is, for example, Lourdes' work, all right? It's related to vocabulary. We have the 9 words over here. And remember that I'm going to evaluate these over there. Yes, and I have a private comment. Lourdes did, in case you found a different way, because I think that you can also attach links. If you were not able to find how to attach a link, try to copy and paste the link, please, as a private comment, as Lourdes did. In that way, I'm going to evaluate these two things, the vocabulary and that you worked and that you followed the instructions, right? Because remember that all these 100 points over here are over these two assignments, all right? The 9 words and the work that you were, of course, doing in class. That's what I'm going to be expecting from all of you until 11:59 today, all right? It means that tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, I'm going to evaluate your work, all right? It's not going to be like immediately, so please give me until the day after tomorrow, but I'm going to give you also some details on what we're going to be doing in the meantime. Lourdes, tell me, I think you have a question. Let me know, please.
Yes, teacher. I did two things to add the link because when I tried to link it in the assignment,
Mhm.
the platform didn't let me to do it because it's not our document, it's yours. So I put it like a comment, like a private comment, and at the first in the document of the 9 words, I could put it like a link, something like a link at the first. Try
Okay,
there. I copy and
perfect.
paste the link, and the document give me the option to put it like that, like a short link. I don't know how to name it, but something like that. I don't know if it's correct to do it like that in the document.
Actually, it's perfect. It's great. I mean, it looks better, you know, in terms of presentation, because at the end, all right, it doesn't matter if it's like this, Lourdes, or if it's a private comment. But in terms of presentation, it looks way better like this, because I have access to everything just right here, right? So I just check everything. I go up here, and just by right passing away the mouse, I can see that it's the job that we were doing, and it's going to be something different. Well, right now it's not loading, but yes, it's the link, so it's perfect, Lourdes. Next time, if you found this way, you can only use this way. It's not needed. There's no need to do also this private comment if you believe that this is best. All right, but the two of them are going to be accepted, and the two of them are okay. All right.
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. No, thank you, because you are showing us, perhaps, or showing your partners a different way to do it. So you can copy and paste the link and do it in the way Lourdes did it also here as a private comment. Please, it's important to work one of those, mainly because of two things I told you, right? First, that I know that you read the instructions and you're following, right, them, and you know that I have to have access to that link. Even though I have the link, it's important that you do it. And secondly, right, because it's very more convenient for me to have everything here, so it's going to be better. Great. So please, again, you have until 11:59 to finish that. I'm going to close that. The three people were able to do it, at least one of those assignments, but were uploaded. Please, if you didn't do it yet, it's important that you do it today. And to finish, before going to the new unit, I'm going to check also the assignment. Also in the assignment, I have three people. I imagine that perhaps are the same. So yes, it's the same, right? You only upload it here, and then say there's no other things that you can do, right? You only upload it, and that's it. Remember to take all the criteria into account. If you go to instructions, I showed you, right? We also read everything, right? So you have the criteria and the specific criterion that I'm going to take into account. So it's important to read them with your essays, okay? Remember, I'm going to evaluate spelling. If you have some writing mistakes, it's going to affect your score. Punctuation, this is the most important part. That's why it's 40. And of course, number of words, because I told you that even though it's like very limiting, it's going to worth doing it, all right? Because it's something that you do a lot in international tests. So just as a reminder, but that's it. That's it. I don't know if you have questions related to these assignments. Please let me know. We're going to start the second unit. I wanted to verify that at least some of you were able to do it. And yes, half of the course was able to upload it. If you have any questions, please, again, it's very important that you can let me know, because today can be the day in which I can help you out before the due date, right? That's it. Let me know, please, if you have any specific questions regarding the assignments and the essay.
Teacher.
If not, again, yes, tell me, Whitney. Let me know, please.
I missed to copy the link of the classwork.
All right, don't worry.
To copy right now?
Yeah, yes, you can do it now, even after the class, with no problems, because remember that you have until 11:59, so you still have time. You just need to copy that link, and that's it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good. No, you're welcome. Again, you can do it right now. You can do it after the class, no problem. Good, perfect. So let's work then with the new unit, all right? We are going to still use commas, colons, semicolons, dashes, all right? But we're going to be now applying those punctuation marks with these words that we called transition or transitional words. It's going to be better. Transitional words or transitional phrases. Mainly, they are going to be used only with two punctuation marks, all right? Either is going to be a semicolon or either is going to be periods, all right? Only with those two. To start with this, I'm going to share the link of this. There you go. Unit. Remember, it's a new unit, so it's going to be a new link. And there you go. The link is over there. But again, actually today, Monday, is the last day of punctuation. We can still work with commas, semicolons, and so on. And actually, we're going to do it. But because of this topic, it's going to be an exception. It's going to be part of the second unit already, because we're going to mix them up. And you're going to learn how to use commas, periods, with transitional words and phrases. And as we have a lot of transitional words and phrases, and they can be very long ideas, that's why we're going to start today with this specific lesson. So again, you have the link in the chat. We're going to start working here. But before doing it, again, we have to work with commas, and I'm going to ask you anything that you can remember. It doesn't matter if it's not accurate. I want to remember if you know how to use, or if you remember how to use those punctuation marks. So I'm going to begin with you, please, Sharai. All right, Sharai. Sharai, tell me, please, what are the situations or events in which we can use commas? Try to tell me the ones that you remember. It doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, 3, or the 4 of them. When do we use commas in general, Sharai?
Okay, the first one is to start a list of items. Then to start an introductory phrases, and to separate a phrase, and I don't know, a phrase, a parenthetical phrase, I think. I don't remember very well.
Okay, very good. Those were great. Yes. So you are mentioning first a list of items. Very good. Secondly, introductory phrases, right? Very good. And finally, these parenthetical, right, phrases as well, or you can call them interrupters or extra explanation, right, as well. But yes, the best way, parenthetical phrases or interrupters. Good. There's only one more missing. What is that one that is missing? And it could be you, please, Whitney. What is the one that is missing with comma?
A comma before fanboys.
The fanboys, right? Good, very good. Thank you very much, Whitney. Correct. Remember that if we want to use two complete ideas, right? Remember that we can use fanboys in a different way, not always with comma. But if we want them to use, right, to be used with a comma, we need two complete ideas, and before the fanboy, we have to use a comma, right? It can be and, but, so, and, nor, for, etc. Very good. So those are the 4 situations, cases in which we use comma. What about semicolon? That can be a little bit harder, but let's try a little bit with you. Yes, let's try with you, Lourdes. What do you say about semicolon? Do you remember a couple of the cases in which we used semicolon?
We use it when, for example, we are starting a new sentence, but not using the fanboys, for example. It's like we use a sentence and the semicolon, and then we start another sentence with the subject.
Very good. That's one. Correct. If we don't want to use fanboys because they don't have that relationship, right, of result or something like that, the best way and the best thing to do is to use semicolon, right? Complete idea, semicolon, second complete idea. Good, very good. We have other cases. I don't know, I'm going to try to go with you this time. Mariana, I don't know if you remember other cases in which we use semicolon. Do you remember them?
I remember that we can use to connect a different clauses, and
All right.
To present things in a list.
Okay, we're going to analyze because yes, two different clauses. That's correct. Actually, that's similar to what Lourdes said, right? Two complete ideas or two different clauses and semicolon. That is correct. But do we use semicolon to introduce a list of items, or do we use a colon? What do you say? If remember that a semicolon, I'm going to write it over here, right? A semicolon is that one, the first one, and a colon is this one, the second one. I don't know if it's noticeable. I'm going to eliminate this one. All right, so there you go, and I'm going to make it bigger.
I refer to in a list of items that when we have an item more longer or more important, we can use a semicolon.
Oh, okay, good, very good. Yes, make that clarification. That's correct, Mariana. Yes, we can use a semicolon in a list of items when we have like smaller, right, categories inside a big one. So that is correct. Very good, good. That is a second one. Thank you very much, Mariana. And we have at least one more that is very important, and that's going to be for, let me see. Let's try with you, Melissa. Do you remember what is the other case in which we use semicolon, the first one, semicolon? We already mentioned two. The first one is to join two complete ideas, only two complete ideas with no connectors, all right? Subject, verb, complement, semicolon, subject, verb, complement, no connectors. The second one is for complex list of items, right? For example, Paris, France, semicolon, Cochabamba, Bolivia, semicolon, and so on and so forth. Those are two. Do you remember other case in which we use semicolon? Let me know.
I think we can use it to link two ideas, but when the second one is more specific and is dependent from the first one, but I'm not sure. Like with a comma, but they are more separate ideas than what you would do with a comma.
Yes, actually that's great. And you're talking also, if you analyze that better, Melissa, because that's correct. If you have a lot of commas and you want to use a fanboy, right? And so it's better to use a semicolon instead, right? So you say, for example, the first idea with commas, right? Because you have the first idea with a list of items. So you used commas. You want to have a second idea, but you want to use a fanboy, for example, and. So instead of saying, right, of writing comma and, you write semicolon and you give the second complete idea. And also it can be a complex idea and you can use commas on that one, right? So good. You can say it's to separate two complete ideas that are too complex and that are already using commas. And that's why the best option is going to be semicolon without, right? Good. That is the third one. Now there's only one missing. There's only one missing. Who can tell me what's the one that is missing? Again, we have two complete ideas with no connectors, all right? Two complete ideas with no connectors. Two complex ideas with fanboys, because you have commas in the first one, commas in the second one, and you have the fanboy and the semicolon. That's the second one. The third one, you have a list of items, but of complex items, right? Again, you have the example of the cities, or a small list of items. That's the third one. What is the one that is missing? What do you say? And actually the one that is missing, it's going to be very important now, because today's topic, all right, today's lesson, it's on the basis of that one, the one that is missing. And I'm going to give you the thing over here. It's used with these words. Do you remember how to use that one? It's very similar to the one that Melissa mentioned, but the one that Melissa mentioned is with fanboys. But the one that is missing is this one. Two complete ideas, again, one more time, but this time with adverbs, with transitional words or transitional phrases. Remember, you have one complete idea, semicolon, one of these transitions, transitional words, transitional phrases, and the second idea. That's the fourth one, all right? And that's the one we're going to be using today. It's very important that you remember that one, so I'm going to show you once again, just as a reminder. And there you go. This is the one that was missing over here, right? It says to join two independent clauses connected by conjunctive adverbs or transitional phrases. And they can be transitional words, transitional phrases, or transitions, I was calling them. And as you can see, you have one full and complete idea, semicolon, you have the conjunctive adverb, or you have the transitional word or phrase, you have a comma, and then you have the second complete idea. So this is different, but it's very similar to this one. Two complete ideas, no transitions over here, but two complete ideas. And similar to this one, again, two complete ideas, but they are very complex, and you use fanboys. That is the main difference between these three. The first one, the second one, and the fourth one. The four of them use two complete ideas, but the difference is that in this case, in the first one, no connectors. In the fourth one, we have a connector that is the fanboy. And in the second one, we have transitional words or phrases to connect both ideas. And yes, Luciana, let me know.
Sorry, I was with some connection problems, and I don't know if we do what we have to do in the classwork.
Okay, yes, we don't have anything in specific yet, Luciana. First, we are working on a review. And after we work on a review, we're going to learn about the first transitional words and phrases that are the additive ones. And after that, I'm going to give you the instructions. So far, you don't have to do anything, Luciana. All right? Good. So please remember that then, please, you're going to be using this structure now with the words that we're going to be learning today, Wednesday, and also Friday, because there are a lot of words. And you have two options. You can use this structure with semicolon and a comma, or the second option. But the main idea is this one. First idea, colon or period, then you have the transitional word or phrase, comma, and you have the second idea. So for you to know that, I'm going to write that structure over here. Okay, so first complete idea, comma, sorry, it's going to be semicolon or period. Then you use the transitional word or phrase. Then you use comma, all right, comma, and the second complete idea. This is what we're going to be doing, all right? This is the way we're going to be using these punctuation marks, and the way we're going to be using the transitional words we're going to use. So I'm going to give more details here. Remember that that's the semicolon, right? That's the semicolon, or you use period. Remember, it's important that you call them period, right? And don't call them, well, points or dots. You use those names, points or dots, for different purposes. For grammar and for writing, you call them periods, all right? So then you have the transitional phrase and that one. So this is the formula that I'm going to give you over there. We're going to be working with that in a second. I'm going to highlight these two ideas. Great. Now, with that explained, please let me know if you have questions related to semicolon, because again, it's very important that you understand how to use the semicolon due to the fact that you're going to be using that structure with the words that we're going to learn today and, well, this week in general. If you don't have questions related to that, we are going to start officially with the first list that is going to be this one. We're going to spend a lot of time in each list, but it's important that you understand the basics. So this is a very complete list of all the words, all the transitional words and the transitional phrases used to add a new idea, all right? So it means that the second idea, or that your idea after this transitional word phrase, is going to be an addition to the previous idea. It means that there's always going to be a first idea before this one, all right? That's very important. There's always going to be a first idea before the idea that it's going to use one of these terms. And as you can see, additive transitions, right, or highlighting, referencing, showing similarity, and clarifying or identifying important information. You have those categories inside additive transitions. So we're going to begin with adding information. And to be clear with this, the most important ones that we're going to be using here a lot could be for your essays or for your writing in general. It's going to be adding information, all right? Sometimes showing similarity, but I think introducing and clarifying. Of course, you use referencing and showing similarity, but you're going to see that the ones that I'm marking are the ones that we're going to be using more often. Let's begin with the first one, please, and you're going to help me out with this one, Whitney. Read common terms and common phrases, please, Whitney, of the first category.
Okay. Also, additionally, furthermore, moreover, in addition to, as well as, in fact, not only, but also, as a matter of fact.
Thank you very much, Whitney. Now I have a question for you. I know that you have experience with essays and writing. That's why you used even one of these or more of these words before. So I know that you know them. But I want to ask you, Whitney, which are the terms or the phrases that you use the most? What are the most common ones for you, Whitney?
Okay. Common terms also, furthermore and moreover. And common phrases, in addition, in fact.
In fact, good. Thank you very much, Whitney. So furthermore, moreover, in addition, or in addition to, you have one idea. In fact, good. Yes, and actually those are very, very common. Of course, also additionally, right? In these four terms are very, very well known. You use a lot. You can use them a lot, and they are going to mean the same, right? Also, additionally, furthermore, moreover, the same meaning, adding information. In this case, yes, in fact, one of those words, but it's actually something very weird to be used in this kind of purpose, all right? But yes, you're using this one a lot, in addition to. And also you have this idea that it's not that common for you, perhaps, but it's English in general. Not only, but also, right? Two parts. And here you have the examples. Let's read the examples, please. Mariana, help me with these examples over here, please. Furthermore, and in addition to.
Okay, examples in research writing. Furthermore, The data shows that X is a significant factor. In addition to the above mentioned study, Rogers also present.
Thank you very much, Mariana. So, as I told you, here, for example, they are using these words not with semicolon, but with period. That's why it's with capital letter, right? So you have a first idea that it's not here, period, and this is the second idea. Furthermore, the data shows that X, right, is a significant factor, period. That is the second idea. Or again, you have one first idea that is not here, you have period, and you have, in addition to the above mentioned study, all of this is only one phrase, all right? In addition to, and you add your own phrase to the above mentioned study, comma, Rogers also presents blah, 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 and you can continue your idea. Luciana, let me know, what is your question?
Teacher, I don't know if can you tell me the meaning of furthermore in Spanish?
Actually, as you know, I'm always trying to avoid, right, that thing of the Spanish thing, but it would be exactly the same as when you say additionally. If you translate additionally to Spanish, it's almost going to be the same meaning and also of moreover, all right? So it, in other words, not to use Spanish, is to add to what I mentioned before. That is more or less the meaning of furthermore, Luciana, all right? Add to what I said before, more or less that, okay? Or adding information, right, to what I meant or what I said before. All of them are going to refer to that idea, okay? No, you're welcome. Then that's it. That's it. I think this is the most common one. And again, you can use the terms or you can use the common phrases, all right? You can use the terms or you can use the common phrases in this case. We're going to try to focus on common terms because these ones can be a little bit, but they're not too hard if you know how to use them. But the ones that we want to use here are these ones, common terms. Why? Because with these common terms, we are going to use the structure that I told you. That is this one over here. Idea, but also the second idea. As a matter of fact, and in fact, they are going to have actually the same structure also. But in order not to have that confusion, I prefer that you work, and I'm going to delete this. I'm going to tell you which ones we can use. You can use any of these four. You can use this one over here, this one over here, or the last one over here. These ones are going to be used as in this case, but the structure is a little bit different. And in order not to change that structure, I prefer that you work with any of these words, all right? So let's try to go to the file, and we're going to do two things, please. Remember that after this word, you are supposedly, all right, to have a previous idea. So this is the second idea, for example. Furthermore, the data shows that X is a significant factor. This is only the transitional term or word and the second idea. So one thing that is missing is the first idea. In your examples, please, I want you to also write the first idea. So you have to do two complete ideas, two examples. The first idea, one of these transitional words or phrases with the punctuation that I told you before, comma, and the second complete idea. All right, so let's write, please, two examples like that. Let's go to the file. And again, let's write two examples using these words that are marked over here. These four or these three over here. All right, or these three over here, using the punctuation rules that I told you. You can use period, transitional words, and comma, or you can use semicolon, transitional word, and comma, and then the second idea. Let's do it, please. If you have any questions, let me know.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yeah, let me know, Whitney.
How we use not only but also the comma is after but also?
Yes, it's going to be, remember that you can use commas before the fanboys. So you're going to use a comma before but. So you're going to say, not only this was, or was this an interesting study, all right? After not only, you're going to use inversion. That's why also this is an exception and an interesting case, Whitney, because you say, not only was I, all right, was I able to understand better, comma, but also, right, the rest of my partners were able to work in a better way. That's the way you're going to use it with, all right? Not only inversion, comma, but also, and second complete idea.
Okay, the comma is after only, right?
Yeah, it's going to be before but, because after only you have the
okay,
complete
okay.
idea, right? And it's going to be before but.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Exactly. You're welcome.
Teacher, I have a question. We have to do
Yes.
a two sentence with this adding information terms, right? To
Yes.
different ideas. We
Two
can
examples.
that
Exactly.
I can do like one sentence and with two parts, right? The first one and after the comma, and the second one in the first.
Yes. You have to use the let me see, this example that I wrote. If you see my screen, it says, this is what you need to do. The first complete idea, semicolon or period, you have those two options. Then you use one of those transitional words or phrases, in this case, additional words, all right? Comma, I forgot to write about that, comma, and after the comma, the second complete idea. So you need to write two examples like this, Luciana, and it has to have the same structure. First idea, semicolon or period, transitional words, in this case, addition, comma, and the second complete idea. That's one example. You need two like this.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Okay. Great, you're welcome. More commas. For example, in the first idea, you can use one of the structures that we learned with comma. All right. Sorry, my internet again was failing a little bit. And in the second idea, you can use the things that also we learned with comma or with dashes. You can play a little bit if you want. In the first idea, you can do whatever you want that has the first punctuation marks that we learned. Remember that if you use in addition to, all right, you can say in addition to what I said, in addition to what I mentioned, but you need to complete the idea with in addition to, all right? You cannot say in addition to comma, no. that is incorrect, right? You have to say something like that. In addition to what I mentioned before, in addition to the previous section, in addition to what the author said, comma, and then you give the second complete idea. So with that phrase, you have to be careful also. Only with that one, please. That's the exception also in terms of using phrases. All right. The end, any ideas could be connected, right? First idea, second idea. But try to write two ideas that are like connected with this logic of addition, right? Adding information. So again, you can say one thing. Additionally, you can say a different thing, but it's better if the connection between those two is kind of clear. All right, it's kind of clear, and it's also logical. All right, because as you see in the example, right, it says furthermore. So you're talking about data. One example, furthermore, the data shows that X is a significant factor. So you're adding information to a previous knowledge related to X, related to data, right? Or in addition to the above mentioned study, Rogers also presents this. Additionally, in addition to that, comma, you mention a second important fact related to that study, for example. Try to relate those two ideas with that logic, please. Good. I'm going to start checking, all right, the ones that finished can read their examples. So Lourdes, let's begin with yours, please.
Okay, the first one, she was the best of her class. Also, she won a scholarship to study in Germany. And the second one, digital marketing is very important in business strategies. In fact, it became the most important and the principal business strategy because of the pandemic.
Perfect, Lourdes. Thank you very much. As you can see, impact is one word or one transitional word or phrase that can be used for adding information or for giving examples, right? And of course, they can be the same if they are adding information in a certain way. I see no mistakes or no corrections in your ideas, Lourdes. I think the best decision for the first one was semicolon, because the two ideas are not that complex and they are kind of related, so it seems to be the best. And the second one, it's a little bit longer and they are a little bit complex, right? So it's the best idea to use period instead. Very good. Do you have any questions related to these words? Let me know, please.
No, teacher, everything is clear, but I have to go now. I have my other classes.
Okay, don't worry, please. Let's work as I told you when this happens. I'm going to send you the poll. So the poll right now is for you, Lourdes. Let's complete it, please, and then you can leave. It's loading a little bit. It's ready for you soon. Okay, there you go. You must be able to see it.
Yes.
All
Okay,
right,
teacher.
that's it then.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. Bye-bye. All right, now we're going to start working with the second set of examples. Give me a second. I'm going to save that information. Are you there, Mariana? Okay, in the meantime, let's go with you, please. Let's read your examples with me.
Okay, the pollution increased last time. Furthermore, CO has been a significant change from 50% to 23%. Not only the government has the responsibility, but also the politics have to be beneficial to people.
Okay, good. Now we're going to work with the second one especially because, as I told you, in the second one, as it is a special, we use inversion in the first part. All right, and we're going to work on that because after that, I think it works very good. We'll only work with inversion because if we use negative ideas at the beginning as not only, the rule says that we have to use inversion in that sentence, even though it's a sentence and it's not a question. All right, but first let's go to the first one. Again, I think it was my mistake because I said right capital letter over there, but remember that when we use only semicolon, we don't need this capital letter. It's going to be only like that. So good. The pollution increased last time. Good. Semicolon. Furthermore, now when you say this, the CO has been a significant change from. If you say has been, it means that it's active. This thing is active. The CO has been a significant change. It means that it's like an identity. That CEO has been a significant change. But perhaps you want to say here from 15% to 23%, right? So perhaps has suffered could be one option, all right? Has suffered a significant change could be different, right? Because if you say has been, it's going to be different. It's like you are saying that CEO is a significant change, right? But if you say suffer, it's going to be CEO suffers a change that goes from 15% to 23%. Perhaps in that idea will be work better. I don't know if you agree with me, Whitney, or perhaps the idea is different. Let me know, please.
Yeah, teacher, that's better.
Right? If you say suffer, it means that it received that action. And in that way, you are making clear that this thing now has increased, right, in 15 to 23%. So it would be suffer, or a different word that you can find, Whitney, that tells me that this is a passive action and not active. All right, just that one. And in this one, so I'm going to mark that one over here. Hey, Luciana, let me know.
No, sorry. I think that you finished, but I'm gonna ask you later.
Okay, it's okay. So, and in the second part, marking this one, this sentence is great, this idea. Now, the only rule that we have is that when we use not only, we have to use inversion. So what is the inversion of this first sentence that you have here with me? And to know that, what is the auxiliary? What do you say?
That could be a noun or action.
Yeah, in this case, the auxiliary, first, to know the auxiliary, we have to know what is the tense of this sentence, right? If you see, the tense is present, right? Simple present. What are the two auxiliaries? Because you only have one verb, has. And has is in present, right? Simple present in this case. So we use in simple present. We only use two. What are those ones?
The present simple.
In present simple, exactly. What are the two auxiliaries? They start with D, right? Both start with D.
I don't know.
Right? Just as a reminder, they are do and does, right? Do and does. Do you have brothers? Do you have sisters? If you see, do and does are used for negative and for questions, right? So that's the auxiliary. So what is the auxiliary in third person? It's not do, right? It's does. So when you use not only, the rule says that you have to work with inversions with me. And you have to pretend that this is a question. So does the government have? All right. Not only does the government have the responsibility, and perhaps you can complete the idea, right? What responsibility of doing this, that, and that, right? You can complete that idea. Very good. But also the politics have to be beneficial to people, right? In this case, you're talking about the rules in a certain way, right? Politics. Okay, the laws, you can say the laws, sometimes it would be better. The laws, or yes, laws, I think would work better over there. But again, the main idea is, first idea with not only, with inversion, second idea with comma, but also, and that's with normal order. That's why the second part is correct. I don't know if you have any questions or comments related to that. Let me know, please.
No, teacher.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's because it's an exception. And anytime you start a sentence with negative ideas, for example, sometimes you start with never. And if you start your sentence with never, your affirmative sentence next to that is going to be inverted. All right. Never do I go to parties. That's what you can say. All right. Good. Very good. And Luciana, I think you are working over here. You can show me your examples if you want, please. And remember that we had to use, you're using, I think, other words, right? We had to use the additional words, the ones that we have on the list. But if you have those ones, it's going to be okay. But in the next set of examples, Luciana, you can use the words of addition, right? You have these ones over here. Also, additionally, furthermore, we only look at the first category and these ones over here. Okay, but let's see if the ones that you have are going to be correct. Let's read what you have, please, Luciana.
Okay, sorry, teacher, I was a little confused in that, but the first one is climate change is real. What is happening? Many living beings are dying every day.
All right. What about the second one? Let's read the second one now.
I love him very much. However, our paths paired because we went to different countries for university.
All right, so let's analyze. In the first one, actually, while is not going to be used in this case. Perhaps here they're going to be using a different way, but I don't think they are going to be using while. Why? Because while itself, it's not considered a transitional word, all right? It's not considered a connector. It's going to be more like, we call it sometimes subordinating, all right? It's going to be like a conjunction. And remember that we're going to use conjunctions in a different way. And when you use actually while, you don't need punctuations, right? You can say, I was singing while you were studying, and you don't need commas, you don't need semicolon, you don't need anything over there. That's why while is not going to be used in this category, because while it's a little bit different. You don't need periods, you don't need commas, you don't need anything with while. You only need the first idea and the second idea. If while is in the middle, no punctuation, all right? So while is not going to be applied in this case. In the second case, yes, however is one transitional word. However can be used in the middle of two complete ideas, and you can use period or semicolon with that one, right? And that's why we have a list over here. Only the words that we have over here are going to be used with periods or semicolons. So let's check this one. However is going to be part of the third group I think we have, which is contrast. So you have, I loved him very much. Period. However, our paths parted, all right? Because also because you don't need, unless it's only clarification or extra information. But in this case, it's not clarification because it's part of your answer. So we don't need a comma before because. In English, when because is in the middle, sorry, there's no punctuation marks that we need. So, however, our paths parted because we went to different countries for university, could be, or to study in a different university, right? You can complete that idea. But this one works. This one works very well in that way, Luciana, because however is a transitional word. It's not for addition, what we're doing now, but it's for contrast. But while this is something that we need to change in the first one, all right, because we don't use that word as transition. I don't know if you have any questions or comments, Luciana. Let me know, please.
No, teacher, it's okay. I'm not sure with which word can I replace while. So I'm.
Yes, in this case, because you say climate, right? Climate change is real. It's happening. It's something that needs to show two things happening at the same time, but I think we don't have like transitional words for that one. You need while, yes, but in this sentence, using while doesn't need this punctuation. That's why the sentence could be okay like that. All right, so you can say, actually, like that is going to start very well, but you don't need this comma. Climate change is real, period. While it is happening, all right, you need a subject over there. While it is happening, comma, many living beings are dying every day. So the idea is correct. There is no other way of doing and working with this idea, Luciana. It is correct, but it's not a transitional word. It's not a transitional phrase. It's a different structure. All right, so it's going to be hard to change this to a different word.
Okay, maybe can I
to this one.
The sentence to use
Yes.
transitional word?
Yes, exactly. Again, all right, again, this one is correct, just is a different sentence. Great, thank you, Luciana. And Sharai, let's work with you, please.
Okay, the first one is Wednesday is my brother's birthday. Moreover, my grandma arrived from Chile. And the second one is they are planning to travel around all the cities. Furthermore, they want to visit another city, so they will spend a lot of money.
Okay, good, very good. Just one thing again, as I was mentioning, the sentences are well written. You're following all the rules in terms of punctuation, and you have two complete ideas. So grammatically speaking, they are perfect, all right? Everything is being followed. But one thing that I can advise for the first one is that even though they can be related, right? Wednesday is my brother's birthday, right? Furthermore, my grandma arrived from Chile. So when you work with these words like moreover, furthermore, and actually it's moreover over here, right? And semicolon, in a certain way, you're saying that they are two complete ideas. This is one complete idea, and this is the second complete idea. So it will be a good idea to establish the relationship between those two in a certain way. For example, you can say, Wednesday is my brother's birthday. Moreover, my grandma just arrived from Chile to be in his party, or something like that, right? So you're adding information, but you're making clear that the second is related in a certain way to the first one. Because in a certain way, just like that, when they are very short, it can be a little bit confusing, and sometimes we cannot find the connection between those two ideas. So you can add extra information like that one, all right? Just arrived from Chile to be right in his party. That would be one option over there. In the second one, I think it's more related. It says they are planning to travel around all the cities. Furthermore, they want to visit another country. So they will spend a lot of money. And this one is okay. I didn't say this one. You don't need semicolon because this is not going to be actually a complete idea. This is a fanboy. You are already using a period. All right. When you have a period, it means that you are starting from zero. So you only have one comma, but this is not a complex comma because it's one comma furthermore. It's part of this structure, but it's not part of the sentence. The sentence itself, it's only this one. They want to visit another. So as we are not using a very complex structure, and also the second part, look, they will spend a lot of money. Very simple, right? So only this would be too much. You have to count from the period. It's not that complex because of the two parts. So with a comma, this fanboy would be more than enough. Okay. Just those two corrections and observations, Sharai. I don't know if you have any questions. Let me know, please.
No, teacher, no question. Thank
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Again, this can be a little bit tricky, but it's going to be until you can work with, right? You're going to let me know. I'm going to help you out. But let's go back. We're only going to work with 3 categories. I told you the most important ones, right? You're going to see the other ones by yourselves, because if not in class, we're not going to have time to finish everything. It's going to be adding information. We did that already. Introducing or highlighting, and clarifying or identifying important information. All right, these 3. So we already worked with this one. This is done. All right, this is done, let's say. Now we have the following, which is this one over here. Please, Luciana, help me out by reading the terms and the phrases in this second category, introducing and highlighting. Read this one over here and this one over here, please, Luciana.
Okay. Common terms, particularly, notably, especially, common phrases, for example, instance, to illustrate, in particular, one example of his is.
Thank you very much, Luciana. So I'm sure that you use more of these, right? These are very common. For example, that's very, very common. To illustrate is the same as, for example. In particular is the same as, for example. And this is, and it's actually the same, right? You have some examples over here. Mariana, I don't know if you're there, Mariana. All right, let's work with you again, please, with me then. Let's read these examples, please, with me.
Okay, notably, only 2 species of this fish survive. one example of this phenomenon is X.
X. Thank you very much, right? So notably, right? Notably, you can use that T as the, and of course, if be British, it's going to be notably, but American is only notably. Notably and survive, right? Survive. Good. And phenomenon. So if you see, there's only one exception in this rule, this word. With one example, you don't use comma. You directly write the entire example. Okay. One example of this, actually, when you use one example of this, you're going to use only a noun of this phenomenon or a complete idea like this. Okay. Or one example of what I mentioned is what happened yesterday. All right. Or one example of what the author said is what we can see in this picture. Something like that. But you are not going to use another comma after one example. But with the rest of them, particularly, notably, especially, for example, for instance, to illustrate in particular, you need to follow the rules that are written in the file, all right? So first idea, semicolon or period, the transition word or phrase, and the second idea, right? So for all of them is the same, except for this one, right? Except for this one. I'm going to write differently. This one is different, right? One example of this, like this example. Please let me know if you have any questions because the structure is the same. If you don't have any questions, let's only write one example, okay? Let's go to the file and do the same. You have to give me one first complete idea. Use one of these transitional words or phrases with comma or semicolon and write the second complete idea. Let's do it, please. All right. I'm just trying to start working, all right? If you were able to finish, I think some of you are having some problems. I hope that you can work with this. Remember that it's important to participate in these exercises, please, right? It's going to be the second part for the second unit. You also have to share this document with me, right? It means that if you were not in class, for example, or if you were not able to write all the sentences or the examples, try to complete all those examples for Monday, because on Monday, I'm going to be checking, right, what examples you wrote and if you were able to participate in class in general, okay? So I'm going to start this time with you, please. Luciana, let's begin with you, Luciana. Let's see what you got. All right. If there's a mistake, we're going to see what's happening. It's going to be okay.
Okay, sorry, teacher. It's just is I love chocolate, especially Sabo, which is from a Bolivian industry.
Okay, okay. Now let's analyze. Look, sometimes you're going to see that it's going to be marked with the blue and it's going to be marked as a mistake. Why? Because usually we use transition words for very complex ideas. Right now, because of the examples, it's going to be okay. But it's not going to be common that we say, for example, a very short sentence like, I love chocolate, and then the transition word and the second idea. Why? Because again, usually we use these transitional words or phrases with very complex ideas and also with different paragraphs, all right? That's why sometimes it's going to be marked like this. Also, happens with especially, and that I didn't make you notice at the beginning, especially it's almost always going to be followed by a phrase. For example, if you say, especially when I'm home, especially this kind of chocolate, right? Especially this, especially that. That kind of especially, if you want to use it in the way it's being used here, it's not going to be, and it's not going to need that kind of punctuation. That's why if you want to correct here, it says, right, especially Sabo, because that's only going to give me the idea that that's one example of the chocolate that you're mentioning, right? And it's because in this case, as I told you, these are not complex ideas. These are very simple ideas. And that's why it's going to be marked as a quotation marks mistake, all right? But it will be okay. But you can keep it the way, because actually the correct structure for this one, and it's going to be that one, especially Sabo, which is from a Bolivian, and this is going to be particular, right? Sabo. And here you can use the comma in this case. Why? Because of the context, because of your sentence. If you had a more complex sentence, Luciana, and it was a complex sentence with many commas, or if it's at the beginning of the paragraph, it will be different. But in this case, you're going to use especially like this, and it works. I don't know if you have any questions, Luciana. Let me know, please, if you do.
No, teacher, it's okay, but it will be right, my sentence, even if I put the comma after the especially, right? It will be
after
okay.
Especially, yeah, in a different context, yes. Now the thing that I'm telling you, that the idea that you have before, it's not that complex, and the idea that you have here is related to that idea that is not complex. It's actually better if you don't separate phrase. It's as if you remember the first part, show you my screen, in addition to. So especially in that case, it's going to be very similar to in addition to, because you actually need to complete that idea, right? In addition to what I mentioned. So especially also needs something to be completed if you use it as example of something else. And in this case, most of the time, that's why this sentence is correct, Luciana, but it's different, and I didn't mention that. It's okay, because after especially, you directly need to mention what is the example, especially what, right? Especially when I'm home, especially that kind of homework, especially Sable, right? So in this case, it's better if you have them together and the way it's over here. So I would mark, perhaps, to not have that confusion, that as a second, let's call it exception. So I'm going to mark the exceptions with a different color, all right? Going to be an exception. One example of is going to be one of those exceptions, but also is going to be the exception over here. And in addition to those that are marked differently are going to have different punctuation rules. Okay,
And
that's
teacher,
why. And actually, that yes, tell me, Lucia.
one more question. It will be okay when I use the word especially if I say especially when when I specific the things, right?
Yes, you can say especially when I feel like this, especially when it's a very good context, especially.
Okay.
Okay, good, very good. Thank you, Luciana. Whitney, let's go with your example, please.
Okay, nature has species of animals that live together all their lives. One example of this is birds.
If you change to are, in many cases, it's going to be accepted. And actually, they say that we have to pay attention not to what we have before, to what we have after that. Of course, they say that we have to pay attention not to what we have before, to what we have, but to what we have after that. Of course, in the formula here, it says is, right? But as you can see in this example, they are also using one singular example. So this one example of this can be used for singular with is, with plural with are, or even you can change this a little bit, right? One example of all those, so you can change that these to those. One example of those species are, all right, or is, and you can only mention one if you're going to use is. So it depends. It can be tricky, again, Whitney, but in this case, because of birds, most of them are going to say that R is going to be the best option. I don't know, it can change, all right? It can change, depends on how you do it here. But again, the punctuation that you're using, good, no additional commas, only one example, and that's perfect. I don't know if you have any questions or comments with related to this, Whitney. Let me know if you do, please.
No, teacher, that's my mistake.
Great. No, it's okay. It's okay. Again, you're going to see that sometimes this even is going to be marked as a mistake. So it depends on the context that you give to this idea. Many times it's going to depend on the context. Thank you very much, Whitney. Sharai, let's go and let's work with your example, please.
Okay, some sports require a lot of concentration. One example of this is tennis.
Okay, okay, good, great. It works good over there. Any questions or comments, Sharai? I have no observations. Let me know, please.
Sorry, teacher, I can't hear if you have any observation of my example.
No observations. Yes,
okay,
no
teacher.
observations, Sharai. But do you have any questions?
No, teacher. Thank you.
Good, perfect. Thank you. So, also one thing that we can do here, Whitney, you can say one of example of this is, or it can be, could be a verb. So you can reduce that idea to singular of is. That could be a second idea, right? Taking a look in Jaray's example, it came that to my mind, but that's okay. Let's go to the last one, and we're going to finish with this one. Only one more example, or one more example. And remember, I'm going to mark them once again. We're working with additional information. We already finished. Introducing or highlighting, we already did it. And now the last one we're going to work of this category is clarifying or identifying important information. So we're done with this one. With this one, please, these other two are going to be for to check. They can be used, but these are the common ones that we're going to use in essays. So that's why we're going to take a look at those, especially. Let's go with you now, Luciana. Let's do it with you again, please, Luciana.
Okay.
Let's read the common terms and phrases that we have over here, please.
Okay. Clarifying, typing important information, common terms, especially, namely, common phrases, that is to say, in other words, to put it another way. What this means is, this means that.
Thank you very much. Good, very good. Now, you know, in this case, all right, in this case, namely, it's not used as often. You're going to be using that in very specific situations in which you want to clarify that after namely, you're going to say the specific, all right? You're going to identify the specific names of those elements that you mentioned, right? For example, you can say, we have 3 important elements for, I don't know, for this category. Colon, namely, comma, and you mention, you clarify what those categories are. Okay, you use namely only in that case. That's why it's not something very common, because you can avoid using namely, and you can directly say the categories. So it's optional. Let's read now, please, the examples. There you're going to see that example I'm talking about. And Sharai, let's work the examples with you, please.
Okay, there are 2 factors, namely X and Y. In other words, before of the empire was caused by overexpansion.
Thank you very much. Now, in this case, again, I'm going to mark the exceptions. Let me clear this. All right, over here, right? So these 2 can be used in that way, but this is going to be exception because look, you use it mainly in a list of things, and you don't always use, let me check this over here. You don't always use, and actually you don't use, right, semicolon with a list of things. So namely is going to be different. That is, right? When you say that is, you give this idea. That is to say that it's going to be different, but in other words, it's inside the category. To put them or to put it in another way, it's also going to be in the same category. To put it in another way, comma, what this means is that this is going to be an exception because you don't use comma with this one. All right, you don't use comma with that one. You can say, what this means is that we don't need to do that,
Sorry.
for example. Yeah, tell me, Luciana.
Can you put the presentation complete?
Oh, yes, I'm going to do it. I finished marking this with different colors, and I'm going to do it, Luciana.
Okay, sorry.
So help me out with that one. That is to say that. All right, so there you go. So those are going to be the exceptions because they are not going to use the structure that you have on the file. As you can see, you see how to use namely. Namely is going to be used in a list of items mainly, all right? It's going to be mainly used in a list of items. That's why you don't use a semicolon, comma. It's going to be different with colon, for example. Or it can be used also sometimes with dash. That is to say that you don't use commas there, right? That is to say that we need to do this change. What this means is that we need to work on this, no commas. This means that we need to, I don't know, right? We need to do this, we need to do that, no commas. So the ones that are with a different color don't need commas, or namely is going to be different. The other ones, especially in other words, to put it another way, comma, all of them need semicolon, period, and a comma. All right, so with that last explanation, please, let's work with only one example. All right, only one example, please, using one of these words, especially, namely, that is to say, in other words, to put it in another way, or to put it another way, what this means is, this means that. Only one example with one of those common phrases or words, please.
Teacher, one question. If the words that are with a different color, right there, are the ones that don't need to use a comma and that punctuation, right?
Yes, except for namely. Namely is different because you use comma with namely, but you use not semicolon before namely, you use a colon. All right, that's going to be, but yes, the other ones don't use a comma. All right, so let's work with that, please. One example, only one example to finish the class. And again, you have to have in mind that this is to clarify, to identify important information.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes, tell me, Luciana.
I confuse about this a lot, and I'm not sure when I'm doing a sentence, when I have to put the, like, for example, I'm the I within, I don't know how to say it, in capital letter. I don't know if it's okay.
Capital letter. What do you mean? In what case? For example, this one, I'm not?
For example, I put in this sentence, this means that I'm not gonna be in Bolivia next year. And I put the I of I'm, with no capital letter. So when I have to put the capital letter for the I?
Actually, always. All
Ah.
right. Actually, it's considered a mistake, a grammatical mistake, if you write I with lowercase letter. All right. It's going to be considered a mistake. So you should always, it doesn't matter if it's at the beginning of the sentence or in the middle or at the end.
Okay.
I, as a pronoun, always has to use capital letter. Okay.
Thank you.
Good, perfect, you're welcome. So let's read your example, please. I think it's great. This is a very good example, Luciana. Let's read it, please.
Okay. I was accepted in Canada to study psychology. This means that I'm not going to be in Bolivia next year.
Okay, good, good. This is a very good example of clarifying one idea, right? Because you are saying that this means that, right? In other words, I'm going to highlight the important information or clarify that because of that, I'm not going to be in this country next year, right? Good, very good. Do you have any questions so far, Luciana? The only thing that you have to know in this lesson, we're going to work a lot with this, but try to memorize the special cases. Look, most of the times with these words, you're going to use semicolon or period, the word and comma. But there are only going to be a few exceptions, like this one. This means that, with which you don't use actually one comma, right? You only use one entire idea. That's it. Any questions or comments? Let me know, please.
No, teacher, it's okay. I don't know if maybe can you upload to the classroom the exceptions more in grammar for me at least to practice, or I don't know, a
Yes.
link or something like that.
The rules of the exceptions, you mean? How to use these words with the different punctuation?
Yes, teacher.
Okay.
That material.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. That's a good idea. I'm going to work on that. I don't have it ready, but I'm going to work on that week, and I'm going to share that with you. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Now I'm going to work with you, please, Whitney. Let's read your examples, please, or your examples, sorry.
Okay, I applied to 3 universities. That means that I could have two possibilities to go in.
Okay, okay, good, good. Again, it's a good clarification. It's clear that you are giving the information right to make me understand what is the implicit consequence of that one. So it's good, good to go. Could be enough to go there or to be accepted, perhaps you can say, right? Because when you say to go in, it means to go in what, right? In is a little bit not clear over there. So I would recommend 2 options. I could have 3 possibilities: to be accepted, all right, or to succeed. Those 2 would work a little bit better over there with me. Do you have any questions or comments? Let me know, please.
In this case, is possibility to use get in?
To get in could be, yes, get in could be better than going. Because if you say go in, right, go in, it sounds weird. It's not a connection between those 2. So it's better to get in, to be accepted, or to succeed, right? It means to be successful in the thing that you want. Good, very good. Get in. I'm writing that just in case. Be accepted, all right, or succeed. All right, those are going to be the options over there with me. Any questions or comments? Let me know, please.
No, teacher, thank you.
Great, now you're welcome. And let's finish this up with you, please, Sharai. Let's read what you got.
Okay, every day I had a headache. This means that I need to make an appointment with the neurologist.
Okay, good. Again, I think that this was easier for all of you. That's great. Just one thing, remember, this is to make it perfect. In the first part, every day is going to be like introductory phrase, right? So it's better if you use a comma over there, right? Every day I had a headache. This means that I need to this, and that, right? Also, one option, if this is past, you said every day I had a headache. With that idea, you're telling me that you don't have a headache anymore, that you used to have headaches. So perhaps you can change this to past, or you can change this to present. That's my advice, all right? Changing this to present tense, the first idea, or changing the second idea to past. And you can say, this means that I needed to make an appointment with the neurologist at that time. Could be. Any questions or comments? Let me know, Shadei.
No, teacher, no questions. Thank you.
Great. No, you're welcome. And that's it. We're working a lot like this, all right? This week is going to be a lot of this work with transition words, transition phrases. It's going to be kind of heavy, all right? Very heavy. Next week is going to be a little bit different. You're going to see it's going to be really interesting. But it's important that we cover this week all this knowledge. There's no other way to cover all those words and all those categories, all right? I'm trying to reduce the number of categories to cover, but it's really important that we can do it. So please, let's be a little bit patient this week. Let's try to work on that way. I'm sharing the survey with you. Thanks for being here today. I'll see you tomorrow for the reading session. We're going to work with a different article to practice your reading skills. Have a good night and see you tomorrow. Please complete the poll and you can leave. Bye-bye.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.
Teacher, bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye, teacher. Thank you.
Bye-bye, Shadei. See you. You're welcome.